Welcome back to the Ride and Laugh podcast. If you love mountain biking, you are in the right place. Close your eyes, picture your last group ride. You're back at the parking lot, the stoke's high. You're talking bikes, progression, tech, trails, nutrition. You love bikes. We love bikes. We talk about bikes every week. Let's drop in. Sage, how are you today?
I'm hurting, Danny. I'm hurting. I played some basketball.
Let's start over.
Yeah.
This is a high vibe podcast, sir. We don't start off with I'm hurting.
I'm hurting.
What happened?
Man, I went up for a rebound, came down like awkwardly and just like immediately felt like a twink in my back. And that's it, baby. I am stimming. I am stimming as we podcast because that's what we do. We don't miss a show. We don't miss a show.
Oh, man. So you're playing basketball and tweak the back. You're off. That means you're off the bike?
I'm off the bike. I'm on injured reserve. Yeah.
Well, you can still podcast. We can still talk mountain bikes. So we will raise your vibration and we will manifest healing. We will send healing energy to Sage. Yes. By the time everyone listens to this next week, you're going to be better. You're going to be riding. You're going to be running. We're going to be shredding. So
how are you, Danny?
I am doing well. I am very, very busy at work and got the whole work-life balance thing going. And we're going to do a podcast on that sometime, maybe next week, or I don't know when, but boy, trying to get your mountain bike rides in when you're busy and you have a family and you have a job, and it can be really trying, but it's also really important because we live for this and it's so much fun and it brings so much energy in life. And I definitely am like jonesing for a ride, and I don't know what's going to happen, but then last week we rode 5 days in a row. So, you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
So you gotta take it when you can and appreciate it when you can, and then just go with the flow and not fight it. That's what I've learned in my 48 years is just go with the flow and when you can't ride, then you're still going to have a good day, still make the best of it and think about riding, visualize what you want to do next. So,
I'm wondering, maybe my back was already 5 days of riding. It was 5 days in a row. I wonder if that had something to do with my back going out.
Well, our last day was Sunday. When did you get hurt?
I guess it was Tuesday. Yeah, yesterday.
No, that wasn't last week. It wasn't 5 days of riding last week. That was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, that's right. My podcast life and real life got totally mixed up.
Yeah, worlds have collided. Yeah, no, we're talking about the episode from 2 weeks ago where we wrote, Yes, we rode 5 days in a row, but that's the podcast that you've been working on and just edited and finished so that I could see why that's in your brain so much. Yes. Sage was working on that right up until Tuesday morning.
Oh, my
And
Lord,
then
I'm so
it came
sorry.
out Wednesday. So you're listening to this a week later. So we're talking about the podcast Electrified Progression Mountain Bike Cheat Code. And so by now everyone's listened to it and gotten our experience on the e-bikes and why we rode 5 days in a row. And then after that, we had a regular week. And then all we did was, I think it was just a regular work week. So there's no way that the riding, and we'll get into that, absolutely, but there's no way that the riding had anything to do with your injury. If anything, you weren't riding enough, and so your body was a little stiff because it wasn't moving around on the bike enough.
Hey now. You
needed your mountain bike therapy, yeah.
I
mean, at some point, maybe we should get into stretching.
Yeah, well, basketball is pretty abrasive on the back. It's a lot of hard impact. Yeah. So, and I was playing against some young guys, and I gotta show them who's boss. Push too hard, and it was why did
you stop immediately, or did you finish the game? Because I finished the game. I
finished the game. Old school mentality.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen. I'm going to pretend that this isn't hurt. And if I just keep playing, it'll just go away. Yeah. I do the same thing on rides. Maybe cycling blood through it is what it actually needs.
That's right.
You fall and you get a big contusion on your quad and you're like, I should probably keep riding to keep the blood pumping through it. Yeah. It's going to be better. It's going to be better for it.
Worst advice. Yeah. Yes.
The anti-intuition. Yeah.
That's right.
Because I want to. Well,
Yeah.
I want to, I know usually we talk about, when we get on, we don't talk about the podcast that just released this morning because we don't have comments for it. We talk about the podcast from last week, and we will. But the podcast that did release this morning, which we've already mentioned, on the e-bikes, on electrified progression, I listened to it several times, and all 3 times I noticed that I did you dirty at one section. I really did you dirty, and we've had listeners comment on this, that I've set you up for failure before, and every time I listened, I was like, man, it just really kind of bugged me, and I didn't mean to do it, but I totally did it. We were talking about the bikes, and I'm saying engine. I say engine twice.
Oh, yes.
And then you start talking about the bike, and you say engine, and I'm like, motor.
Yeah.
It's called a motor. And you're like, oh my God, yeah, of course. Because an engine is gas powered, right? And a motor's electric. So I said engine twice. And then you're like, your next sentence, you say engine, and I'm like, dude, it's called a motor. Freaking amateur that I'm working with here. And you were totally, I mean, you just rolled with it and you kind of like laughed at yourself, but I don't know if anyone else picked up on it, but all 3 times I listened to it, I was like, oh man, I totally set Sage up for that, so my apologies, Senor Trail Sage.
That's all good. Listen, I'm a word repeater. If I hear somebody say a word, then I use that word. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're like Ron Burgundy on the from Anchorman on the teleprompter. I could, if I put it up there, you're going to say it.
That's right.
DGI versus DJI.
No, don't do that. Oh man.
All right. Well, I didn't mean to do that. I apologize. I have set you up to tease you in the past, but that was not the case with this one.
That was unintentional, yeah.
And people might think that I'm like diabolically, intentionally setting you up, and maybe I am, but I wasn't in that case.
Subconsciously, yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to talk about listener comments from Ride and Laugh podcast number 22. Man, we're really getting up there in numbers. That's so cool.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a mountain bike thing, part 2. Turns out we are nuts. That subject was so juicy that we did 2 episodes on it, and it was, are we nuts? And then turns out that we are nuts. And awesome comments on the YouTube from everybody. And so really appreciate our awesome listeners. And so I'm bringing up at Try Rebooting. And really, really, really nice comment. He said the gratitude this week really made him smile about our friendship. I think that was when you were thanking me for the bike repair. And
that's right. Yep.
We love each other. We're brothers, mountain bike brothers. And he said that I've been to Sedona and Moab, seen the White Line in person, too steep for my skills at the moment. And then he said, Danny, you nailed it on fitness for Portal. He's done parts of Mag 7 leading up to it, and there's a lot of riding to get there, even with the shuttle. And then he said, the other famous ride in Moab, or one of the other ones, the Whole Enchilada, also requires excellent fitness. And I've seen training videos on the Whole Enchilada. I think Dusty Trails, he's got a whole video just on how to train for the Whole Enchilada. So it's probably pretty intense. I don't think you could just stay in zone 2 on an e-bike.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Oh no. Do we have to explain that?
Do you want to?
I don't know. You just said it.
Yeah, okay. You know what? It's been on your mind. This has really been on your mind.
Okay. All right.
Do you want to bring it up? I mean, you could edit it out, I guess. If you're like, do I want to bring it up? You just brought it up.
Yeah, wait a second. Yeah, hold on a second now. Set me up again. I'm not falling for
it. Totally set you up. Yeah. All right. Sorry about that.
Oh, so I am going to bring it up.
Well, now everybody wants to know.
All right. Loam Ranger put out a video. Was it a recent video? I feel like it was a recent video.
Loam Ranger is an awesome mountain bike YouTuber who we both totally respect, totally enjoy. Awesome rider and awesome content provider. Yes. And yes, he recently, a few weeks ago, he put out a video on e-bikes right around when we were getting our e-bike demos. So like the timing really matched up, and I sent it to Sage. But one part of that video really stuck out to you and really kind of got under your crawl. And we've been talking about it a lot.
Yeah. He had mentioned that, I think he was arguing for the e-bike, and he made a comment about the fitness of it. And my perception was that all you have to do is train in zone 2 and your fitness will be fine. And it was in reference to a trip that he was taking. So he got invited to do a trip in, I think it was Peru or something like that. It was going to be like mega rides, back to back to back mega rides. And somebody gave him the advice that, all you have to do is train in zone 2 from here out. That's it. Just
that was the most
training.
efficient way to get fit for that trip in this short amount of time that he had. He's not. He's an excellent downhill rider. Yeah. And but I don't know that he's a great fitness guy. I mean, he hasn't highlighted that on his channel, so we don't know. But in this, he was talking about going on this trip, and he had to get in shape. And the advice he was given was to stay in zone 2 and explain a little bit what zone 2 is real briefly.
So zone 2 is in reference to a heart rate. And so if you can calculate and find out what your heart rate zones are. And we did a whole episode on the Fitness Pod, but there are essentially 5 zones. You know, the highest zone is going to be your max heart rate, and then it progresses 10 beats down. So that's right. So zone 2 would be like pretty low on your heart rate. It's a very low energy workout. You don't have to, in fact, you don't want to put out any kind of effort. And that zone is going to be different for everybody. So Dan, your zone 2 is going to be different from my zone 2, and so on and so forth.
But it's a relatively easy heart rate zone. I would say you can carry a conversation in zone 2, like no problem. You're not breathing heavy.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, he had made that comment, and I guess what stuck in my craw was I wish that he had elaborated on that, because just training in zone 2 isn't always the best answer. I suppose if you were an endurance person, you know, you're doing big marathons or 100-mile races, maybe training more in zone 2 makes sense. But even the guys and girls that are training for those big marathons, they're still doing HIIT workouts too. And I think, you know, he was trying to argue for the e-bike and why e-bikes are good for fitness. And I just kind of thought that was kind of a disservice, you know, like
riding an e-bike in zone 2, which is pretty easy because you're getting electronic assistance. So you can kind of dial in where you want your heart rate to be fairly easily. So he was claiming that riding the e-bike in zone 2 will get you fit for your analog bike. And that's right. And I think so, you know, just to interject a little bit, so you can go ahead and continue with your point.
Oh, well, my point is, yes, zone 2 training is important. I train in zone 2 quite often. I do zone 2 rides probably once a week at least. But I'm also doing HIIT rides, and I'm doing threshold rides and all kinds of different rides just so that I can be strong on the mountain bike. If I just train zone 2, I'm not sure that I would be in the shape that I'm in right now. And I just wish that he had kind of clarified that a little bit more, or explained what he meant, because I think what he meant was he finished those rides. Like, he was able to do the rides, but, you know, did you excel at that? You know, did you finish every day like on top of the world? Were people waiting for you at the top of the climbs? Like, we don't know anything, you know, and just to make a blanket statement like e-bikes will keep you fit was, I don't know. I don't know, man. Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was a pretty good selling point when I watched the video, but then as soon as you said that, I was like, well, wait a second. You know, I'm doing these trainer road rides, and I'm clicking on like, what plan do you want to do? You know, and it asks you what type of mountain biking you do, because I'm on the mountain bike plans, and so I put in like, you know, cross country Olympic or short track and these sorts of things that I think mimic the kind of riding that we do. And there's a base training phase with very little just hanging out in zone 2, and then it's like VO2 max and threshold and sweet spot, and like it's really, really hard work.
Yeah.
Maybe that zone 2 training is just living in zone 2 for a lot longer. My workouts are, you know, 60 to 90 minutes. So maybe the zone, if you're doing zone 2 for 3 or 4 hours, maybe that gets you, does that prepare you for, you know, charging up a hill at maximum heart rate for a minute and a half? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you're riding an e-bike in zone 2 for 3 or 4 hours, does that equate an hour of HIIT workout? Listeners, let us know.
So. I don't know.
Put it in the comments. I mean, who's done this? Who's done the Zone 2 training? And maybe Stick Nose or anyone that's done the Trainer Road stuff, like the older style training. I think it's called Long and Slow. I forget exactly what it's called.
Yeah.
We can look
LSD.
more into this. Yeah, right. LSD, long, slow distance. I'm not sure what that stands for. But hey, leave it in the comments. Let us know in the comments. Has anyone used their e-bike for this? And has anyone done just Zone 2 training and found that it works? And what are we missing here? So maybe we're off base a little bit in criticizing the Loam Ranger's comment there because we just don't know enough. That wasn't what the video was about. That was just a small part of the video. So maybe there's things that we just don't understand here, but we train really hard and we do, like VO2 max and out of breath and full gas. And then we take that to the trails and we feel pretty good. So I kind of agree that just hanging out in Zone 2, unless they're the equivalent of doing that for 3 or 4 hours makes a big difference. I'd be curious to find out. And I know that we have some listeners that are really, steeped in the training knowledge. So leave us a comment on the YouTube and we'll get a conversation going about that, and or direct us towards some resources. Educate yourselves, fools.
Hey now.
So I feel like if we were doing the Whole Enchilada, and I know that there's training plans out there to be able to do the Whole Enchilada, I feel like if someone were to say, look, Mag 7 or Whole Enchilada, like they're really big rides, you need a lot of fitness. I feel like that's like we're ready. Like I feel like you and I are almost always ready. Like we're fit. I don't think that our peak is that much lower than where we usually are. Like if I were to say, okay, we don't take months off and just say, oh, well, I'm not in bike shape.
Right.
Like we're always in bike shape. We're either in better bike shape or not. Maybe we're unique in that. Listener, let us know. Like, are you training year round? Do you think do we need to train for the Whole Enchilada? Or have you done it? Have you trained for it?
Do you train differently when we have a destination? I know sometimes we do these 4 or 5 day destination. Do you change your training plan and does it get what goes into that?
On Trainer Road, you can put events. And so if we were to say, hey, we're going to, Utah and we're going to be riding these trails, then you could put the event and it will train you for the event and then it will taper you. Now, most of the events it thinks are races.
Yeah.
But it does get you ready. It does do a certain amount of kinds of workouts so that you peak at that moment. Your fitness does peak there. That said, I feel like we're usually ready to go and ride. I go to Arizona in the middle of the winter and I have no problem throwing down, 15, 20, 30 miles if I want to.
All right, I'll throw myself under the bus. I trained hard for that Arizona trip that we did. It's almost 3 years ago at this point. But
I know
it was 6 days of riding because the one day was the flight time. But it should have been 5 days of riding. But because you and I are idiots, we did 6 days in a row.
We have a problem.
Yes,
our name is Dan and Sage, and we have a mountain bike addiction.
That's right. We don't do Zone 2. We hit the stim and we do podcasts. Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. And we don't take breaks from podcasts for a bad back.
That's
especially
right.
playing basketball. Yeah.
Yes. But I will be honest. I was ready for all those rides except for the Mount Lemon. I ended up bonking on that ride. Maybe bonk wasn't the right word, but you had to basically tow me. Yeah, but you basically I had to draft you.
Yeah.
There's at the end of that Mount Lemon ride, it's 20 miles or 23 miles, 4,000 feet. And then you have this 10-mile road ride back to your car. I couldn't do it. I started that road within 2 miles. I couldn't do it anymore. I had to actually draft you. And I was limping into the parking lot. So all that to say, all the training that I was doing, the HIIT workouts, all those things were training me for that 20 to 25 mile zone of riding, of just hard effort. The minute I went over that 25, I couldn't handle it. So, maybe I should have trained a little bit differently, so that I was ready for that. Although you could also argue that was after 4 days of riding. 4 days of consecutive rides. So maybe my body was like
massive ride, just getting down off of the mountain on the trails. Getting off of the mountain, which I don't want to say like getting off of the mountain and just getting down the mountain, because there's so much climbing and getting down the mountain. There's so much climbing.
Yeah.
And there's so much hike a bike going up like water bars and steps. I mean, it's an absolutely brutal day on the bike. Fantastic.
It really is.
But it is physically a brutal day. I mean, I think it was 6 hours of trail riding, 5 hours.
It was a long day.
Not a lot of stopping, and we were like really fading towards the end. And then you'd hit a cool section and you get your energy back. And then we finally get to the road and it's like, it's over. We did it.
Yeah.
And where the shuttle had dropped us off is like Sage said, like 10 miles away. And I swear, and it's flat desert and there was just a headwind the entire way back.
It really was, yes.
And it just felt like it was so long on that road. And I was thanking Trainer Road at that time, because you could not ride in front. I was breaking the wind. Oh, that sounds terrible. I was breaking wind and you were behind me. So yeah,
that's why
how about training now? Yeah. How about maybe you get in front?
That's a whole different kind of training.
I don't know what roadies call that. You were drafting behind me. What do they call the person in front? They're breaking wind.
They're breaking wind, the windbreaker.
This is why I don't road ride. This is it sounds terrible. It sounds terrible. All right, roadies, let me know what that's called. If you're the person in front, I presume they have a cooler name for it than breaking
windbreaker.
Wind. Than windbreaker. I am the windbreaker. I'll tell you what, I eat mostly meat. Now that I don't eat that many beans or anything like that, I'm not even really a windbreaker anymore. Yeah. Yeah. Smells great in this house.
Yeah, you turn around, you're like, where are all the riders? They're all fading. I wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah. I was breaking wind for everybody. I thought that was a nice thing to do. Well, this is the last time I break wind for you all. Jeez.
Right.
Well, I don't know where we were. Did you do a gel or anything on that ride? Do you remember? I mean, maybe you must have. Maybe it was too late.
I think I did, but it was too late. Like it was really exhausting. That was the only ride that I did struggle on, though. The first two, I struggled on Hawes too. Now I think about it, that was day 2. And those climbs and the exposure, there's just too many variables. There's so many variables.
And it was the first time you'd been in the desert, and it's just like a different level of dryness that you're so bad at hydrating, but you really have to stay on the water. When you're in the desert, it could be 50 degrees out and you're still going to be completely dried out and have to drink 3 liters of water. Like it's just different out there, and you can get dehydrated quickly. Yeah.
You know what I am good at though? I'm good at the second wind. That sounds bad too.
So if I break first wind, you'll break second wind? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I think we got a theme going on this pod, finally. Well, I was like, what's the thumbnail going to be? Oh,
I think we know.
First wind, second wind. Maybe we'll do a follow-up podcast. Second wind.
Yes.
First wind part 2. Second wind.
Danny breaks again.
This time Sage is breaking wind.
Yes. But in any case, yes, I'm good at getting that second wind. There's something about there'll be a point where I'm just like, I'm done. And then all of a sudden, it's usually after a gel, and about 15 minutes later, I'm coming back so hard. And
it's not just after a gel. I mean, I feel like I don't even listen to you for the first 15 minutes of a ride because you're complaining, your legs hurt, you're tired, you're back. And then you're like, and then he's warmed up, and then he's like, off like a rocket. And then he gets second wind and third winds and fourth winds and fifth winds. I mean, it's a very windy ride. There's wind all over the place.
Wait a second. Is it wind or is it win?
Yeah,
Wait.
WIND.
I got a second.
Yeah,
wind.
like you have more breath, I guess. I don't know where the term comes. Oh, here we go again. I don't know where the term comes from.
I don't know. It might be a second win. No, it might be a second win. Oh, listeners, please, we need clarification. I don't even know.
Do we? I'm fairly certain it's wind.
All right. Fine.
All right, listeners, you know what? If you think it's wind, then let us know, or maybe we'll change it. But I always thought it was wind. I got a second wind. This is really dumb. I really think you need to edit this out. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. We're still in the comments.
The point is, yes, I get a second win. Yeah, so too. That's right.
This is so funny. Sage and I were like discussing what we were going to talk about on tonight's pod. And I was like, I don't know. Sometimes we just get into it and then we're just talking about mountain biking and different subjects come up. And next thing you know, like the podcast
we're breaking wind.
Well, we broke new wind today. Well, I have another comment to pull from one of our favorite commenters, from one of our best commenters, which is Zan at Sploosh MTB. Yeah. And he's got a YouTube channel at Sploosh MTB. And so in talking about the podcast where it's a mountain bike thing part 2, and you asked me about Portal and the white line. And so Zan said, I agree with Dan. Portal, yes. White line, no. Risk to reward doesn't match up for me. And then he talked about progression is the answer. Why do we do these things? It's progression. And, you know, kind of as long as you're having fun and progressing and continuing to do things that you enjoy, and if they keep getting harder, then that's where it's at. And I mean, I thought his comment on Portal and the white line was interesting because he agreed with me, but also very healthy perspective on progression, you know, just like not just doing it for the right reasons. Like it feels good and you're confident and you're flowing. Slanted ground, Josh at Slanted Ground commented on that also. Like if you're confident and you're flowing and there's not like, it doesn't like you might be doing risky things, but it doesn't feel risky because you have that confidence. And, you know, so there's like that right reason where you slot in and, you know, in that high vibration, things are flowing, things are going well, I'm locked in, not like I really want to do this because it's going to be a cool picture or because I came here. Sometimes we would be in the car going to the bike park and you would be like, I want to get this drop. I want to do this drop. I want to clear this jump. And I would always be like, I don't want to put any pressure on us, man. Like, let's just go and look at everything and see how we're feeling and then we'll decide. So I never wanted that pressure because I didn't want to get there and be like, well, this was on my list today. You know, you want to be doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah. Well, you know, let me ask you a question about the white line. This is going to be hard to answer for you because you have seen the videos. I was going to say, if there were no videos at all on the white line and we got to the white line, would that have an effect on you? In other words, because you've seen so many videos and people have talked about how scary it is and blah, 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 does that make it more like, you know what I mean? Or
yeah, for sure. It does. It does. It definitely does. I also know that it doesn't look all that scary on the video, but everyone talks about how terrifying it is. I've seen the zoomed out picture of it because it's in Sedona. They have these Jeep tours. I did one with my family one time. They're really fun where you have like a professional driver and you get in the back of the Jeep and they off-road you and they take you on, and there's all these different tours. Sedona's absolutely beautiful. It's breathtakingly beautiful. And so they take you on these tours. And so one of these tours goes by the white line and they always stop to see if there's bikers on there. And so like zoomed out, you can see people like going along the edge of this mountain. And so when I hear like really, really, really talented riders like Jeff Lanoski talk about how scary it is, that's, you know, I know that like seeing it on video is one thing, but I have no doubt like that if you see it and you go out and you walk it, that like, oh my gosh, this is really high up and this is really high consequence and this is really scary. So I do think that it's built up more because of the reputation. I had the same thing with the waterfall on National Trail in Phoenix, which I've ridden a whole bunch. I can't get up it yet, But riding down it, there was a lot of videos of people that struggled to do it and couldn't do it, and it was kind of made a big deal. And so that was built up to be a big deal in my mind. Going down that was built up to be a big deal.
Yeah.
I think there's an old Paul the Punter YouTuber. He doesn't make videos anymore, but there was a video of him
throwback.
Him being on that mountain, like just not being able to do that trail, which is probably one of the reasons he stopped mountain biking. Is he wasn't very good.
Also, why he's called the punter. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the bit.
That was the bit. Yeah. You know what, Danny? That's a really good point because you had mentioned earlier, I don't watch videos. Like I don't have time. I didn't watch a single video on the waterfall. Not the waterfall at Mount Lemon and not the one at South Mountain.
We didn't watch the night before. I guess maybe not because that was our first ride.
If you showed me a video, it might have been one or two. I went down that thing like I had no preconceived notion of anything.
Yeah.
And I wasn't afraid of it. I didn't even look at it. We just did it. And you were right behind me. Yeah. So maybe there's something to that. Like I didn't have that fear in me. And same with all the exposure that we hit on South Mountain. You didn't warn me about that, or maybe if you did, it was like right at the moment. I didn't have time to think about it. You know, you were just like,
I told you it was, yeah.
Maybe you did. I just terrible listener. Yeah.
I wasn't pointing it out. You know what I mean? Like I just told you before the ride, I said there's a fair amount of exposure, and I probably told you not to ignore it, to just look in the middle of the trail.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I guess my point is I didn't have time to process a lot of this stuff, and maybe that is helpful, you know, because when I do think about things is when I do struggle. So, you know, the white line, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of videos on that, and it does seem really scary from some vantage points, and then other vantage points it doesn't. I think it's just one of those things, man. We're just going to have to go there and I'm just going to have to see it in person and feel what it feels like, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, you might. I think seeing it is probably going to help, and maybe getting tires on it, and you know, just I don't know if you could see anyone else doing it. That would be like ideal, or follow someone in it. You know,
would you
that
follow?
Would be really cool.
I don't think I could follow.
Oh, I would totally want to follow. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Show me the speed. Show me the line. Yeah. I don't have to think as much.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna follow. I'm just gonna follow this person.
Yeah. All right. Would you do it a second time? I don't know that I'd do it twice.
I mean, I always have these moments where I'm like, oh, if I just want to do it once, and then I've done it and I never do it again. But it's like if you're confident enough to do it once, you should be able to go and do it a bunch of times. Like if you do it well, when Jeff Lenoski did it in his video, he did it the first time. He was terrified. And then he said he did it like 9 or 10 more times, something like that. It was a while ago I saw it. But I mean, he's next level. I do feel like if I did the white line once, I would probably be like, yeah, it's off the checklist. And yeah. I have skinnies like that where I'm like, yeah, I've done that one. I've completed it. I don't need to do it again. You know,
yeah, that's right.
Some of the high consequence stuff, just like, you just have to be so locked in.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, good stuff. Interesting things to discuss. We're all over the place today. I do want to remind everyone to rate and subscribe on your podcast player and give us a 5-star review. If you don't think we deserve 5 stars, then you can email me at rideandlaugh1@gmail and let me know why. But
get out of here.
Say said, or you could just get out of here. So
go do your zone too.
We appreciate all the 5-star reviews. They make a really big difference, especially on Spotify and on Apple, on the Apple podcast player. Also makes a really big difference. And wherever you can rate and subscribe, that's great. But on the Apple one, you can leave a review. And so I went on there, and we have reviews that were left that are really cool. And some of them have been there for a while, but I thought I would pick some of them and read them maybe weekly or as they come up. But this one has been up there for a little bit. And so this one is from Penultimate Conjecture.
That's a very cool name. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of long, but it's like it's written in such a interesting style that I'm just gonna read the bulk of it. And have you seen these before? This is new to you, right?
No, I have not seen this one. No.
Okay. All right. Here's what he wrote. Nah, these guys aren't half stepping, just riding with style and building their skills up and sharing the knowledge and stoke. This is a great podcast already. After just 8 episodes, thank you, positive guides, and lots of potential for more great conversations on here. East Coast riding and perspective is crucial for mountain bike to stay in a positive direction. Love the grassroots aspect of this. But yeah, these guys also rip on their bikes, let's be clear. Always cool to hear true friends bouncing ideas around, especially when it's such a cool topic.
Yo, what a
penultimate
great
conjecture
comment.
from downtown, from way downtown.
That was great. Wow. I love how he worded it too. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the first time that anyone said that I'm not half stepping. I thought I was full stepping or half. I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool. The way he put it sounds cool. He or she, I'm assuming it's a he for some reason, but whoever you are, yo.
Yeah.
Awesome review.
Pretty baller.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And there's other awesome ones on there that I'm going to pick out and read. And listener, if you leave an awesome one, we will pick it out and read it, maybe. But definitely on your podcast player. If you got a time, like just throw those 5 stars in there. If you want to write a review on Apple Podcast, that helps also, and get more people stoked on mountain biking. So,
bam.
All right. Well, we want to talk about our ride. We only had run ride this week, but it was really, really cool because we got to ride with the fire team. So
yes,
finally, I got to meet some of the fire girls. Yeah. And it was an awesome team. Sage, why don't you tell us a little bit about our Sunday experience with fire?
Yes. Another great ride at Mount Penn with the fire team. And it was just a really neat mix of just watching everybody work through an awesome line. We know it as the network at Mount Penn. And this line is full of like drops and rolls, but each thing has like an optional feature. So it's really the perfect line to get everybody involved. You know, if you didn't want to do the drop, you could do a roll down, you know, or you could go around it. And man, it was just such a great experience. I mean, it's always great leading the fire team around.
Yeah,
but yeah, this was
for
awesome.
anyone that hasn't listened, why don't you explain real quick what fire stands for and what they are, in case this is someone's first podcast? Because Sage has ridden with them a couple times before.
Yes. Great. Yeah, that was a great point. Yeah, FIRE is an acronym. It's Females First Racing Enduro. And Shelly started this, I would say it's about 3 or 4 years ago. And it's kind of grown like tremendously over the years. And basically, she leads a team of girls and ladies to all these enduro races, and they absolutely kick butt. I mean, placing. And so she at least once a year, this was great. We got 2 times, but she once a year, she asks to get a tour of Mount Penn and kind of go over the features that you and I like to ride. And, you know, this was
the kind of things
perfect.
that you might see in an enduro race, you know, that the riders can session and you know, like big rock rolls, big features, things that they might see in some of these enduro races that they do. Yeah, absolutely. And so it's kids, but it's also women that, you know, want to ride and shred and race enduro and support each other. It's a really great atmosphere. Yeah. The things that we work on that it might be a little bit outside of racing, but relates to racing is a lot of like body English and working the bike. You know, a lot of times we talk about, you know, let the bike do the work. Let the bike do the work. At Mount Penn, some of the tech, you can't let the bike do the work. Some of the tech requires you to work the bike, you know, because if you don't, the mountain's going to eat you. And these girls were unbelievable. Just so, to watch them progress through the day was it was so cool, man. I mean, what did you think? Yeah, I thought it was great. The vibe was great. And going outside, mountain biking together, supporting each other, and everyone just being stoked on riding. It's just a really, really great environment, and everyone gets along really well. The fire team is just like really tight knit. And, you know, you could tell like Shelly's just like a really, really interesting person, really awesome lady, and saw a need. You know, her daughter wanted to race enduro and there wasn't an age class for girls. Yeah. And so she's just like, well, let's make one. And she's just kind of like pioneered this in this part of the country, you know, that having girls be able to race enduro, and then more girls were interested and then women were interested, and it just grew and grew. And now they're out there racing every weekend and riding like pretty gnarly features at Mount Penn. Like, the network's no joke. And some of the drops we took them on and some of the things that you worked on with them last time that they were there, and we had to ride a while to get there. So everyone was fit enough to be able to, ride all the way up the mountain and then get over there. And then we were sessioning. And then we went to a different trail and we were sessioning, and then it started to rain on us and we rode back in the rain, and no one was complaining. No one was, everyone was just like having a good time. And, we got wet, got a little bit muddy. Then we get down the bottom of the mountain. Everyone's down there smiling. They just like shredded their way down this super rocky trail in the rain and in the mud, and all of them just like, yeah, no problem. I was like, man, no problem. These ladies, awesome. Yeah. It was just awesome. We all went out to lunch afterwards, and it's just like an awesome group of people. And you could definitely feel the vibe was very high, and they're all about progression and fun and mountain biking and family and the family rides and, just very loving atmosphere. It's very, very cool. I was very impressed.
Let me just call you out for a second, or shout you out is a better way to say it. When you get coaching from like a traditional coach, it's more about body position and all that. We focus a lot. Yeah. I mean, yes, we do body position. Of course, we talk about, where your pedals should be and how you should do this, but we also focus on the mindset. And I heard you coaching up the girls, and actually, working through the mindset part of it. Of what are you thinking while you're going through these features? And yeah, I got to shout you out, man. You did an awesome job, and yeah, fantastic.
Well, thank you. I feel very strongly that, especially like I saw them riding, that those skills are in there. And so that was kind of what I was going with. I was like, look, you get your eyes up and you stay low, and you got this. You got this. Like the skills are in there. Just focus on the end. Just focus on how you want to get off of this feature, how you want to get on, how you get off, and just be confident that you got it. And yeah, there was riders there that were doing things that they didn't think they could, and then they did.
That's right.
Yeah. And so it was really cool to see people overcome their fears and overcome these obstacles and be stoked. It's part of mountain biking. It's awesome.
Yeah, it really is, man. What a special group, and what a special thing to be a part of. So thank you, Shelly.
I did want to shout out your coaching skills, and I had seen it on the video when I wasn't at the last fire ride. I saw a video of you, and then I saw it in person, and it was really, really impressive. Like, you really took control of the moment, and you really took it seriously, and you were very confident, and I think you inspired a lot of confidence, and I think that the riders really responded to you. I think you really got something there. I mean, you really have I know you don't like big crowds, but ironically enough, like, you're really, really good with people. So you might have to figure that out, because I think people would really, I know people would enjoy riding with you. I get to ride with you all the time. So, and I love it, obviously. There was another point I was going to make. I forget what it is. I was going to be 2 compliments, and I only gave you 1. Maybe it was about your second wind. Oh, you remember the other compliment?
Yeah, let me tell you what. No.
Perhaps it was how handsome I am, Danny. Perhaps it was how good I look. I've been working out a little bit. So
do tell. Yes.
Or there's more win where that came from.
I bet you I'm right. I bet it's win. I bet. I don't know. It's a terrible segment, so we're gonna let it go.
If it's actually win, it's a great segment. And I'm wrong again. I feel like I'm very confident. I feel like on these podcasts, I'm always so confident that I'm right. And then we watch them back and you're right. I'm wrong. So,
wait, I didn't know. I didn't say I was right. I said, I didn't know. I said, is it wind or is it win? I don't know.
I feel like I'm fairly certain it's wind, but I'm also telling you that I've been really certain about things before, and then it turns out that I'm wrong. So, I can't just bully you into being right.
That's right. Say it with confidence. Yes.
Yeah. Engine, motor. I mean, who cares?
Yeah. Well, listen, I wanted to get into the mountain bike destinations. I don't know if we have time now.
I know.
All right, so let's do this.
I'm not sure what this podcast was about.
It's about breaking wind. That's it. No, so let's do this. Let's do this, Danny. Tell me your at least one favorite destination that you would like to get to on the bucket. I know you have many on the bucket list, but just pick one.
I have such a huge list here. This is my question. Okay, I didn't even get. This is my question that brought up the whole bucket list conversation. My question to you, and I know I've just deflected away from your question, so I apologize. But
what
I want to know after you just unlocked jumping.
Yes.
Does that change your bucket list? That was my whole question that I was telling you I had a question for you.
No. There you go.
Because
end of segment.
Now you might be more interested in hitting some more bike parks, hitting some more flow trails, hitting more Bentonville proper where you can hit the jumps.
I knew it.
Because the jumps, and you loved it. And you loved I don't know that you've jumped enough to be saying no so far with such confidence. You still want all tech all the time?
No. I don't want all tech all the time. It's just tech is what I enjoy. So I do enjoy jumping, of course, and being able to go to different places and have that as a tool now, as a skill that I can bank on is fantastic. So no matter where I go, I can always call upon that. But my bread gets buttered on tech. Oh my gosh, that sounded so good. Can we get a t-shirt of that? My bread gets buttered on tech. No, that's really corny. Never mind. We're not making t-shirts of that. That was terrible.
Maybe we'll put that on the Trail Sage channel and keep that off for Ride and Laugh. First of all, I'm not a bread guy.
No, that's right.
You want to change it to muffin?
It was real butter. It was real butter.
All right. You butter your bread. Okay.
Yes, on the tech. So, if we go to a Bentonville or whatever, it just means that I'll be able to enjoy the jumps more, but I still want to go do the tech. And you're still not going to convince me that Bentonville's the way to go. Maybe outside of Bentonville. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't feel like your stoke would be high enough doing like a full day of like clearing jump trails and.
Oh, we can definitely do that. Yeah, I would love to go to Whistler for sure. Yeah, for 1 or 2 days. You had talked about doing like a week at Whistler.
All right, I think I know what your number one is, and our number one, we talked about this in the past. Our number one is probably the same thing. We both are totally jonesing out. I'm going to leave it for you. My number one, I'm going to say, is a 2-week trip.
Oh.
Honey, if you're listening, I'm going to need 2 weeks. And it is week 1, Pacific Northwest, Squamish, Slabs, the tech.
Yes.
And week 2 is Whistler. And I want 2 or 3 days on the flow jump trails, and I want to hit some of that Whistler tech too.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say Whistler, Pacific Northwest. Bucket list number 1. What is your number 1?
I will go. Right now, I'm still jonesing for Quebec. Like, I really want to get to Quebec. And I don't know, man. Yeah. By the way, we can do a whole episode on bucket list rides. But yeah, that's probably at the top of my list. Oh, yeah. We're totally going to do that. Yeah. But yeah, Quebec for sure. It's just so... And from what we've seen, it's just so right down our wheelhouse. No, it's right down our alley. Yeah.
Yeah. In our wheelhouse, down our alley, buttering our bread.
Muffins.
First win, second win.
Yeah, zone 2.
Homemade muffins, real butter. Quebec. They're like Quebec is like, isn't that Quebec poutine? It's like French fries with gravy, which that's not my thing. But you'd probably like it.
I've never heard of that.
You don't know what poutine is? That's part of the French Quebec experience.
I thought poutine was a bad word in Spanish, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it might be. Apologies to our hermanos and hermanas. It's also some sort of French fry dish in French Canada. Yeah.
All right.
But I'm not a French fry guy. But you would love it. I know you like French fries. So
yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Quebec
do.
looks awesome. The tech is like, I mean, there are tech lines there, Wolverine and a couple other trails that may be over our heads. There are some things that look so scary. I mean, so high consequence. So, but even like just, and there's jump trails there. There's Empire 47, which is all jumps and drops, which is probably over our head, but there's just epic riding up there, and it looks awesome. So I got a whole list of places that I want to go. I want to get listener comments and feedback on things in their bucket list, places that they've been that we're talking about. Have you been to Quebec? Have you been to Whistler? Have you been to the Pacific Northwest? Oof. Let us know in the comments. Let us know what kind of trip you recommend or how you did it, you know, if you went with a group or that sort of thing. So we are going to be talking about bucket lists in an episode coming up, maybe next one, maybe soon after that. And I have other things just locally here in the Northeast that I am just jonesing to either get back to that we've been to or to ride. That's like kind of driving distance for us. But I want to get road trips. I want to get on an airplane. I want to be riding all over the world. I have things on my bucket list all over the world. So really excited to talk about that. But we have been talking bikes for a long time. I'm not exactly sure what we've talked about this episode, but hopefully it's entertaining. Hopefully it's fun. I'm sure it is. I've been enjoying it. I've been laughing and smiling the whole time when we're talking bikes. I love it.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Let's get into our mountain bike gratitudes of the week then.
Question: do our gratitudes have to be mountain bike related, or can they just be gratitude for anything in life?
I would lean towards having something to do with mountain biking, but why don't you tell me what it is and maybe I can tie it into mountain biking? I usually can.
I'll tie it into this podcast, and that is to say that I hurt my back playing basketball with my son Oliver, and my gratitude is for my son Oliver. We've been going through a lot of stuff in my life and in my family, and he has made some really poor decisions in his life. And he is turning out to be a fine young man, And I'm just so proud of him. He stayed with me. So my ex-wife is down the shore, and she said, can Oliver stay with you? And I said, absolutely. He's been staying with me for the last 5 days. And I'm just so proud of him. He's working his butt off. He's got a good brain in his head. And yeah, I'm just a proud papa, man. I'm just a proud papa. So my gratitude goes to Oliver.
Oh, well, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Totally acceptable to have gratitude for your kid, even though he doesn't mountain bike. So but that is that's right. That's right. And that is just so awesome to hear, because I know that it's been a tough year for your whole family. And so every time I've met Oliver, he's such a nice young man, and so I'm just so happy to hear that he's doing well and that you're proud of him. And you know, being close with your family and finding time for you to spend with your family and feeling good about yourself, maybe because you're, you know, when you're riding, you're feeling good, and when you're on the bike, you're feeling good, and when you're off the bike, you're feeling good. And so, you know, absolutely, flowing in life is just as important, if not more important than actually flowing on the bike. They're connected though. When you're centered and grounded on the bike, you're centered and grounded in life, and vice versa. So we want to bring those good feelings that we have in life, like gratitude towards our families and your son, to the bike of feeling good and feeling confident. And so I think everything really can, to answer your question, I think everything really can tie into a mountain bike gratitude, because you and I are so connected with mountain biking that feeling good off the bike and feeling good on the bike, you know, are so often connected. And so having gratitude, I think, for your son and just being happy with that is awesome and beautiful.
All right then, Danny.
I'm kind of embarrassed to say my gratitude now, because yours was so beautiful and mine is like so it just okay. It is what it is, and it's gratitude, and it's related to mountain biking in kind of an off and adjacent. It's okay. Let me just say what it is.
Okay.
We went mountain biking for 5 days in a row, and The weather was, if not getting rained on and humid, it was incredibly hot. And like we were like wringing out our jerseys with sweat from sweat every day. And so when you get back from these rides and then you're going to do another ride the next day, you have sweaty knee pads. You have shoes that are oftentimes sweaty. I mean, your clothes, obviously, you can wash. And I have another, everything was going in the wash right away. I was like doing laundry every day because it was just so gross. But, you know, like certain things like, you know, need to dry out for the ride the next day, like your helmet and especially your shoes. And we put a dehumidifier in our laundry room because we're in the Northeast. I know, like, if you're in the Southwest or if you're in Colorado, like some of these places are so dry, you don't need anything like this. But I put this dehumidifier in the laundry room and it drains into the laundry room sink. And I could put my shoes and my helmet right next to it and everything's dry the next day. And it's just like, I'm just so grateful. It's just like, including, and the pack also, you don't wash and dry your pack. You don't empty your pack out. So having, and the GoPro mount that Sage and I wear, like that stuff's all soaked when I get home.
God, yeah.
And then the dehumidifier like pulls it out, pulls the water out, and nothing smells terrible and everything's dry for the next ride. And so I was thinking about things I had gratitude for. And, you know, it's kind of a weird one, but like, I'm really, really grateful. I didn't have to put on like sweaty, smelly, wet shoes every morning. So I'm going dehumidifier, mountain bike gratitude of the week.
This was almost a mountain bike tip as well. But lucky for our listeners, they're going to get 2 tips then, I guess. They got the dehumidifier and I'm going to give them another tip. And my mountain bike tip.
You are unlimited in tips.
2 for the price of 1. You had mentioned in your dehumidifier about preparing for the next day and the ride. And one of the things that I do to prepare my bike before a ride is I wipe down the stanchions on my shock and my dropper. So both my front shock and my rear shock and on my dropper. Now this could be terrible advice, so don't take this part of it, but I actually use a little bit of T9, which is chain lube, and I put it on a little bounty towel and I actually wipe my stanchions down so it has a little bit of like a sheen to it. I don't know if that's actually a good thing, but definitely wiping down your stanchions before every ride is definitely a good thing. I just don't know if you should do it with chain lube. I do. Sometimes my dropper sticks, but if I wipe it down, it just flows really nice. Same with my front shock and the rear shock. I've never had an issue. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but definitely wipe them down.
Are you wiping? That is an excellent tip. That is an excellent tip. So all of these suspension parts and the dropper posts, but especially the suspension parts, have seals in them, and it's important to keep them clean. You're going to extend the working life of the shock or the suspension, and you're going to have to do maintenance less often, so it's going to work better for longer. Now, when I wipe, I do that also, and I think this is a fantastic tip because that's not something that we ever talked about. When I get home from a ride or before a ride, I use a microfiber towel to wipe the suspension down and the dropper post. Are you using just a paper towel?
Yeah, just a regular paper towel. Yep. Put a little bit, just a dab or two of some chain lube, and that just adds a nice sheen to everything, and it makes everything slide really nice. I think some people might tell you it might drag some particles into your shock, but that little bit of oil, it probably helps to lubricate the seals. That's how I think about it, but I'm not like drenching the stanchions. I'm just wiping it down.
Let us know. The mechanics listening, let us know on the T9. I don't do the T9. I only use the microfiber cloth. I know, especially if you like rinse your bike off and there's water stains on the stanchion, those actually can be very abrasive on the seals. So wiping off with a microfiber cloth, which you can get like a pack of 20 on Amazon for like $5. They're really cheap and they're handy things to have around. And let us know, mechanics. Let us know the T9 or anyone that is just familiar with this. Do you put any sort of lube on the suspension parts?
Don't look at me like pause that. Don't look at me like that. Really long pause.
This podcast has been weird enough already. Don't look at me like that when I say lube.
You paused so long. It was
this is a clean podcast. This is clean. Yeah, and lube is always a rabbit hole. Anytime someone brings up the word lube, it's always a rabbit hole with yeah. Danger, danger, danger. All right. Well,
all right.
If you're still listening, go in, leave us a comment. Just let us know that you like the podcast. I'm not sure what we're commenting about. Wind, lube. I'm sure I asked some other questions. Destinations. We wanted to, how your bucket list and Pacific Northwest Whistler trips. How you arrange those things if you did it with a group. Definitely comment on the YouTube, and we love getting the comments. We love talking about them on the following podcast. And it does help the algorithm, anyone that comments, and certainly go in and like and subscribe on YouTube. Like and subscribe on your podcast player. Set us to auto downloads on YouTube. If you hit the little bell, then you'll get a notification that the new podcast is out. It usually comes out Wednesday mornings. And give us a 5-star review. We appreciate it. If you leave it on the Apple Podcast and you leave a review, then maybe we'll read you on the pod. So if you're still listening, we appreciate it. You love bikes. We love bikes. Ride and laugh. Have a great week, everybody.
I'll see you, everyone.